endings of anything. I suppose in general, I don't like generalising, but I do it all the time. Endings are quite negative. People don't like things to end, I think. I was only thinking of this in the car there yesterday. And I was thinking of doing a bit of a, whatever you want to call this, podcast on my episode. Usually it's an episode with me. One big episode. The endings, anything that ends. I suppose if it's a good thing, it's a happy thing, it's an interesting thing, then there's negative connotations with that. And I think probably it all comes down to the fact that we don't like change. And yeah, we don't like things to end. But I think we should embrace it more. This isn't I don't know what you call it, a corporate. 'Cause I think most corporations, multinationals, they want you to embrace change, which normally involves you or maybe lots of people that you know have been made redundant, so they can have a few synergies. Maybe the organic growth hasn't been good enough and they have to make some difficult decisions. Well, yeah. So I've been there. I may have mentioned it in other episodes. So in the last 5 years, I've been made redundant 3 times, which is the maximum in 5 years. Anything less than 2 years isn't technically redundancy, in the sense of, well, they don't have to give you anything, they don't have to give you any money. Yeah, I did wonder. I think after the second one, if it was me, was the problem. But I work in an industry that is all about change, and change involves things ending. That's a part of change normally. Yeah. So when things end, your job might end as well, and that happened to me. I suppose the last 2, I definitely knew it was coming. I wasn't in denial or anything like that, but I was always going to do my best, even if one of the companies was pains to say it was not going to happen, when it was blatantly obvious it would at some point. It did come, So, and I think, it shouldn't be negative. It shouldn't be change. Shouldn't be a negative thing. It is. Ends of it shouldn't be. It is, and it's hard and it's tough. And I think it's easier once you've gone through it and got over it and been relatively successful afterwards, that you can stand back and go, that was a good thing. I mean, at the time, even though you might know it's coming, even though you might get a little bit of a cash windfall, a little bit of sweetener to ease you on your way, it's not nice. It's still negative. But I've always prided myself on being very professional. I don't know, what did someone say to me once? Don't stand on the shoes that are connected to the house you might have to kiss later on. That's quite crude. It does sound a bit crude, doesn't it? But I think essentially what it's saying is, don't upset the company that are making you redundant because you might need a reference. Maybe that's what it means. I don't know. But I think that's very true, and it can be very, very hard. And certainly last time I was made redundant, I was really, really angry and annoyed at the way that I was treated on the final day, on the day I knew it was coming and what was happening, and the way the company treated me. It was pretty much like I'd done something wrong, and that was quite hurtful for me. I mean, the company that had lied to me for over a year, telling me it's never going to happen, I knew it was going to happen. And then when it came, it was no surprise. It was a bit of a surprise how they handled it. I'm going to mention the company name, and I'm certain that many of you listening out there have had a very similar experience. And maybe it's more happens more often in the US. I have no statistics to back that up. I'm not going to Google it either because I don't Google if I can help it. But yeah, I think a lot of you would have been through similar experiences, and I always give credit to people who behave in a completely inappropriate manner. Might be send a few choice emails before they're out the door, or might get a bit physical, not in a very bad way, but just get angry, and it's all like that. And I wonder if bottling up a little bit and keeping composed, and maybe because it's on British and the stiff upper lip, that rubbish. Plus, I'm always thinking, well, what about the future? Will I need them for something? Will I need a reference? But I have a lot of respect for someone who gets so angry, and I've seen it. I've seen people get really angry. I've seen people do amazing things, when it happens, because they feel hurt. And for me now, if it happens, been made redundant, it won't hurt the redundancy, I don't think. As, if I sort of had a feeling it was going to happen, but how it's handled, that can hurt, that can last. If they tell you you've not done anything wrong, and then they treat you like you have, or you're going to do something wrong, and that's a real problem for me now. And I wouldn't appreciate any company behaving in that fashion, and I don't think they should. But just going back to why I've been made redundant so many times, I said it to somebody because I felt it was too much. They said, well, it's what you do, isn't it, Jason? It's the industry you're in. I mean, are you surprised at this? And I had to think about it for a bit, and oh yeah. So I have a habit of coming in, automating myself, engineering myself out of a job, and then they have a look at the bottom line and go, how much we're paying this guy? And we can do it all ourselves now. He's done all this lovely bit of automation, and yeah, we don't need him anymore. And that's the reward, isn't it, for being good at your job? And I think that's also true about promotions. And I'm only speaking from experience. I can't speak for everybody out there. I'll try, but I can't. But yeah, I didn't get many promotions during the last 30 years. I got a few, and they were mostly meaningless trinkets, job title changes, things of that nature, to give you a little bit of a G up. But there's no money, or we don't do our off cycle. Oh, that was a good one. We don't do off cycle pay rises, which is rubbish. I'll just let you know that now. It's just not true. Or there's a pay freeze on, or there's a benefit freeze on, so you won't get your company car yet, or something. And it's all lies, it's all rubbish. So I've missed out on a lot of promotions, and it probably came down to one thing. I was pretty good at what I do. And the problem with that is you sort of make a niche in some ways for yourself, especially if you're quite specialised. I think I'm in quite a specialised industry. I didn't think I was, but having a lot of experience now in people in different industries and people in general, it's pretty specialised what I do. And you make a niche for yourself. You can be really good at something. What manager in his right mind is going to promote you out of that position when they're really dependent on you? That's essentially what happened, I think, with one of the companies. I hasn't any mentioned the name of the company. I'm not going to mention it. To protect the guilty and the innocent. But yeah, so one of the companies, I was pretty much the SME. I was the go-to expert, so that's subject matter expert from a huge multinational. I was definitely one of the engineers that was like pretty essential to a core part of their internal infrastructure. They still got rid of me. I wasn't that good, was I? But it was interesting. Yeah, I should have been promoted more. I was never the squeaky wheel getting the oil, and I never had like a career agenda. I don't know. I think a lot of people in Ireland and the UK, you're brought up to think you want to work hard, do your job well, and that was pretty much my ethos for the last 30 years. Was to work hard at what I do and be the best at what I can do. But that's not how you get promoted, unfortunately. That's not what promotions are a little bit more subtle and a bit more human in some ways. You really need to make your manager feel good. Yeah, if you don't make your manager feel good, you're never going to be promoted. And even if you do, you might not be promoted unless there's something in it for them. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because in most people in life, there has to be something in it for them, doesn't there, you know? So yeah, promotions, I'm not really expecting any promotions, and the only way to get a promotion is to promote yourself. I think that's what I'd suggest as a solution to that little problem. If you want a big pay rise, yeah, you're not going to get a big pay rise. You might be lucky enough to be one of these startup companies, and the investments are flooding in, and they don't want you to leave because you really fuck up their plans. Excuse my French. Then in that instance you might be lucky enough to get a big windfall occasionally, or not. I don't think that's a very common thing now. I mean, there are startups doing really well, don't get me wrong, but would you really want to be part of that? I don't know. So yeah, if you want a pay rise, change jobs. That's the only way, you know. Get good at what you can do. This is getting a bit like career advice, isn't it? Get good at what you can do, what you enjoy doing. I know a good few people now that tell me they hate their jobs. They hate going into work. They're actually, I know people on a Sunday evening are actually like pretty much bordered on clinically depressed because of the Monday morning having to go into work. And it shouldn't be like that. Life is really short, and you need to make the most of it, and that involves making a lot of money. Yeah, everybody should be earning a lot of money. Everybody should be making the efforts to make a lot of money. You know what? Happiness isn't money. Absolutely not. But it enables things, and you really, really need to. You really need the money. Things are so expensive now. To live is so expensive. To rent a place, everything's expensive. So, yeah, if you hate your job, get out of it. You need to leave. Anybody listening, you don't like your job, you feel depressed the day before, leave, go now. But before that, find out what you do like. What do you like? I'm not saying what career or what profession. You think at one point I wanted to be an astronaut. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen now. I'm too fat, too old as well. I wouldn't pass the medical. But I'm so proud of that, really, because if it got to this age and I was in prime condition, I'd say, what the hell have I been doing for the last 40 odd years? So, you need to find out what you enjoy doing. Just completely get a piece of paper, preferably a blank one. Just what do you really enjoy doing? You know, there's things you enjoy doing. I like gadgets. I like problems. I like logic. In very simple terms, don't be thinking of a career or an industry. Just think, what could you do? What could you do a lot and never get tired of? And there is something for everybody. I don't believe there's anybody out there who go, I don't know, breathing's hard enough, I don't know. But for me, everybody has something that they go, I could do it. Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that, Let's not say partying. Partying's not quite it. But there's things associated with that. But yeah, let's leave partying to one side. I mean, we can all enjoy it. We can all enjoy heavy drinking, and that's not really a profession, is it? But I'm just thinking, find out what you enjoy. And if it's creative, and I actually believe we're all creative. For many years, I didn't think I was a creative person. I didn't think I had anything in me about, creativity. And then I realized everything I do is about creativity. I write things. I write scripts. I actually write code. It's a bit scary. I'm not a coder. But I write things, and I think there's certain problems. The insurmountable problem, the Hercule Poirot or Sherlock Holmes problems, is probably the best analogy I can use. To be presented with a problem on a global scale or a huge impact that nobody can solve, and then, that's a challenge for me, and it's exciting and it's interesting, But some of the menial, repetitive stuff is, oh my God, I hate. But I'll script it, I'll automate it. I'll automate myself out of a job. I just said that, didn't I? But, find something you like to do. And if you love it, even better. Find out something where if you had to do that every day, 7 days a week, not even 7 days, could you do it, It could be gardening, it could be landscape. I often thought about doing gardening. My knees aren't very good now, so I don't think I'll be very good at that. I spent a lot of time on my knees over the years. So they're in a little bit bad shape. I had to kneel down yesterday for about 30 seconds on a hard floor, and I can't do that much now. So it was 30 seconds of hell. But you need to find out something you do every day. What is it? No, not watch television. Television is very passive. Something that you need a bit of effort, but it's rewarding for you. And it's different. I think it's different for everybody in many ways. And I have a very logical troubleshooting mind, and I do like solving problems. I'm rubbish. I don't consider myself to be uber intelligent, right? Hyper intelligent. Not at all. And I'm very pleased that I've spent time with really intelligent people. But anyway, so that's what you should do. That's the takeaway from this particular episode. If you hate what you're doing, if you're not happy with what you're doing, if you're not happy with things in general, then you need to do something about it, And you might get it wrong, of course. The grass is always greener, but don't let that put you off. I think it's a mistake to let that put you off. And, sometimes if you find yourself out of work, that's the worst place to be looking for a job, is out of work. So look for work whilst you're in work. Whilst you're doing a job you hate, the people you hate, things you hate, that makes you sick the Sunday night because you've got to go into work and you just wish you could have some excuse not to go and and go in. So I think you need to, whilst you're in work, have a look out there, and don't just think of what you're doing now and I want to do the same, or think of something else. What is it that you really like? I use the gardening analogy, and I think it's quite a good one because it's quite creative. It's quite productive as well. Whatever you enjoy, and going back to the watching television thing, is there something you see on television that you really like? I mean, we see a lot of, I know people, obviously, who like to watch reality TV because some of the people you see on there are like caricatures, and it actually makes you feel good about yourself in some ways. Go, wow, I'm not like that. Yeah, that's good, I suppose. And I think that could be part of it. We're not all like the reality TV people that we see. So that's the takeaway. Go and find something that you enjoy. Maybe try a few different things. Maybe things you can try in the evening. Maybe, I don't know, painting. Paint by numbers. I always loved the idea. I was always rubbish at it. Scratching the foil off, that whole thing, and all the little hobby things going on there now. I tried a few, not very good at. But computers, from an early age, it seemed to sort of gel. It seemed to stick. And people often say to me, Jason, you're hyper intelligent. They don't say that. How do you? What's it feel like? How do you? That's the only thing I can say is, it's when something to other people find complicated that I find easy, then you have something, and it can be anything. But I remember doing quadratic equations in secondary school. It's still there in the mind from when I would be 13, 14, an awful period of my life, and that's for another episode. But I'm sure I've mentioned it in other episodes. But I remember doing quadratic equations. It was explained to me probably in a space of 5 minutes how to do them. And then you're presented with, 100 of these things to do. I don't think I expected anybody to do 100. And pretty much I did the 100, and most people hadn't even got to the first 5 or 6. And that's when you realise that there's something there that just clicks. And this is a very simple example. And I don't know where that gift or that whatever came from, but I think we all have that in not doing quadratic equations, thank God, because they're pretty useless in everyday life, of course. But it was the secret sauce, the little bit of a lubricant that was in the mind that just, boom, it hit and it worked. And I think everybody has that to some degree for something. And all you have to do is find out that something.